very important question yesterday. When does the teaching start? And I'll take a couple of sessions on this because if you look at course design and the need analysis that we have attempted to understand in previous sessions, we in a way realized that your teaching does not begin when you go to the classroom. In fact, it begins long before you decide to teach a course. So then we also try to understand that what is the difference between two statements, and if we can understand that better, we would be able to deliver it better. So let's look at these two sentences in front of you. This course is designed to help students, and by the end of the program, the learner should be able to. Now, either of these is a goal and one of them is an objective. Can you help me to find out which one is goal and which one is objective?
The learners should be able to is a goal, and the course is designed to help student is an objective.
Okay. I would request once again to read the sentences carefully. It's actually the opposite. This course is designed to help students is a goal, and by the end of the program, the learners should be able to is an objective. Remember, whenever you read this phrase, learner should be able to is an objective. Okay, that's an objective. This course is designed. So now see, if you look at the differences between the first and the second one, you are looking at this course is designed. That means the overall picture is given. And yesterday we tried to understand that goal relates to an overall picture that teacher, the course designer would see. And when objectives are written by the end of the program, once the course is finished, you will be able to do number of activities. In terms of English language classes, you can say communicative activities that we have identified through 4 different skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. So whenever you see by the end of the program or by the end of the course, the learner should be able to, means it's an objective. It's an objective to reach the larger picture. That is goal, right? Okay. Look at this, the definition of goal or aims of a course. It refers to the overall long-term purposes of the course. The first sentence reflects that. We'll try to write some of the goals, and if goal is given, how to write an objective. We'll try to understand that. And the objective is the way to describe the specific ways in which the goals can be achieved or will be achieved, right? So the goal is to go to Baroda. How I am going, the description of that is an objective. I will walk. No, I will ride a bike. I will ride a motorbike. I will take a car. I'll book a cab. I'll take train. Objective differs, but the goal remains same. I want to go to Baroda, right? At the end of the day, I should be able to reach Baroda, right? This journey is designed to help me to reach Baroda. or this itinerary is designed to help me to reach Baroda. That's an overall picture. I want to go to Baroda. How, again, depends on multiple factors, individual factors. One of them is the economic or my likes. It's a rainy season and I would like to go on a bike, and I would like to see the nature, because I know there are wonderful scenic routes when I go from this place to Baroda, right? So the difference between a goal and objective is very clear. The goal paints the overall picture, whereas the objective gives you specifications that how are you going to achieve your goal. Take another example. You want to become an IAS officer. That's an overall goal. So what are the steps that you are going to take? What are the specific ways that you are going to take? So first of all, you will decide, okay, in order to become an IAS officer, I need to study, I need to master 2 subjects, right? And I will take my graduation in one of the subjects. By the time I graduate, I will develop competencies in general knowledge. How am I going to do that? Again, I will take active part in quiz competitions held during the year at my college. So the objectives will give you step-by-step way to reach your overall goal. And this is most for a class, especially language class, where you need to develop the linguistic competencies of your students. Let's take another example for goal and objective for English language learners. This course is designed to help students to speak in English. This is an overall goal. If you want to make it specific, there are steps. So you will say the first step is, I will make students learn how to introduce themselves. So you will write the objective like this. By the end of my first session, the learner should be able to introduce themselves, right? So your activities would be designed according to your objectives to meet your overall goal. Any doubts on this? I think
No, sir.
the difference between goal and objectives is clear. Thank you. Okay, now, does it mean that when we design a course, we plan? Do you think when we design something, when we write goals and objectives, we are planning?
Yeah. Yes, I guess.
Of course, yes, you're right. But the question is how, what, and when. And the most important question is why. Why do we need planning? You can teach language anyways, and people will like it. They will learn it if they wish to learn. Why is the need to have a planning? What is the need? Okay. The need to plan depends on multiple factors, because we are investing not only students' time, but also our own time. One of the most important factors, that each minute in the classroom has a purpose. And if the planned lesson is not delivered, if the teacher does not plan minute, all the 45 minutes may be wasted. So important factor, the human resources along with the technical or economical resource that has been given to us, we are wasting a lot, and that needs to be stopped. So planning helps us to concentrate more on what we are going to deliver. It does make teachers confident because they know what they are doing every minute. What are the next steps? If teacher does not know what is next, he or she may feel less confident. In order to teach 45 minutes, he might have done multiplied number of times to bring that material, the processes, the methods, the approaches, the reading, number of times of 45 minutes. So he will be very confident. And when teachers are confident, students also feel that confidence. So it's a very contagious thing. If teachers are not confident, students lose interest in their subject. So planning gives teachers vital element, and that's vital, very important. It helps teachers to focus as well as students to focus. If each minute is planned, then the activities will be about that learning objective. And that learning objective will be attained at the end of the session. It helps teacher to spend more time with learners. Imagine a teacher who is not planning his time. 45 minutes. He'll talk about everything else rather than the learning objectives. So when you spend more time with learners, the learners get benefit of whatever teaching you are supposed to do. You may teach life skills, experiences, you can teach stories about things, but the objective of meeting between two people in the classroom is perhaps lost if teachers do not spend enough time with the learners, keeping the objective in mind. Yes, Hardik.
So does planning always helps to improvise ourselves? Like if I have planned what I have to speak wherever I go, or is it
Hmm.
anything? Like
Hmm.
if I plan to speak for 5 to 7 minutes,
Okay.
and if something happens
Hmm.
and there is a different thing, like if I speak something spontaneously,
Hmm. Hmm.
does that even that makes a difference? Like spontaneous things are sometimes even better than
Better
the
than, yeah.
planned ones.
Yes. So,
So is that always
um,
needful and the thing?
okay. Very important question you have raised. Uh, when we plan, we also plan anticipated problems, right? So when you anticipate that one of the students or group of students may raise this issue, suppose you are teaching auxiliary verbs and students don't know what are the auxiliary verbs. That's what you are going to teach. But if they don't understand what is auxiliary, right? It means helping. It helps. So if they don't know, you have to spend enough time to explain what is auxiliary. There, you are planning the anticipated problems even before they arise. So it may happen that some students bring some important issue from their other subjects assignment, and you have to be impromptu. You have to speak spontaneously. You can do that, but it should be given enough attention during the planning session. Let's say you have raised, a student have raised an important issue regarding, let's say, writing in biology, and they experience that writing in biology is quite different from other subjects. And they said, how can I write a short note on respiratory systems? Do I need to concentrate on grammar, or do I need to focus on the content? Now that's a very important issue, because most of the science students would like to focus on content rather than on the language and the grammar aspect. So if that question is raised, you need to answer it promptly. And there, your planning of the lesson, let's say you have planned a lesson on active and passive voice, where the respiratory system may not come into the picture. And whatever the activities you have planned, it does not come into the picture of your active and passive voice, or let's say direct and indirect speech, or whatever grammatical item or LSRW activities or skills that you have planned. So it entirely depends on how you anticipate the problems and how you go about it. To answer specifically to your question, that how can we consider comparison between a spontaneous presentation and planned presentation. See, it may happen that when you have read a lot on the subject given to you, you may deliver better than the planned one. But then there are chances that you will get diverted when you try to deliver what is being asked to deliver, or whatever you have decided to deliver. The consideration of what is going to be next. Let's say that you decided that I'm going to speak on a topic on direct, indirect, and I'm going to use a couple of examples from the textbook. And I have a group play, I have a role play, and we are going to execute it. Now this is your planning, and you decide that I'm not going to do minute by minute, and you are going to be spontaneous. So it might happen that the students will not be able to develop that competency that you want at the end of the session. You may deliver a very good presentation. So it is important to understand that what is my goal at the end of the session, not for me as a teacher, but as a student, what they are expected to learn at the end of the session. And that's where the goals and the objectives are really helpful to make teachers focus. Does it answer your question, Hardik?
Yes, sir, but sometimes it happens that suppose if we have something related to like active and passive, you would be teaching it us. So you would be thinking that the people, we are in college and we are in the last year, so we must know active and passive because we learn it since 8th standard. So we would be knowing that particular thing. So
Yeah.
you won't have that basic thing, but there might be one of us who won't know it and would arise the question, so the planning would go abrupt, like we had the presentation in the our PDA subject, so
Okay.
we thought that we would convey this way, and so we planned it that way. And sometimes it happened that it didn't go as we planned, and the things went so wrong and we went blank.
Okay.
So that is what I'm asking, sir.
Okay. Now, see, when you anticipate the level of the students, like in your example, you clearly say that active and passive for the college students, you learn it from 8th standard. And you may think that it is basic, so you need to give advanced practices. So in your presentation, I think if you start with the basic, where you give little time for the basic revision, and then you go on practice and the complexity. So here, when we talk of presentation, we have to look at multiple aspects. For example, what do they know? What is my audience comprised of? Where are they in the education level? So if they are in the college and some of them are not familiar with the exercise or familiar with the topic, what you need to do is to combine and grade it. Grade it in the sense that your presentation starts with simple ideas and then it reaches to complex ideas. So if you do the complex one, that you know this, and let's start with this idea, your presentation might go somewhere else than you are thinking. So remember, always a good teacher will tell you from known to unknown. So you take your students from known things to unknown things. That's what we did in a present situation analysis yesterday. So there are chances that you will be able to understand your students through your own presentations, and where we need to concentrate, because when we plan, there are chances that some of the students might be knowing what you are going to teach. So for them, it would be easier. For others, it would be a new topic. And for very few, it would be, let's say I can do it, and a complex presentation would be difficult for them. So you need to grade your presentation in a way that every part of your audience, every member of your audience gets something. If you design in that way, I don't think a presentation would go abrupt anywhere. It may go as planned. Now, I anticipated some of the questions on goals and objectives. I never anticipated a question on presentation, right? But still, there is a time factor which allows me to talk about goals and objectives in the context of the question you are asking. Because the overall picture in my mind is clear, and I want my objective to be fulfilled at the end of the session. So if you know that, your presentation would be always on to the point. Whoever the audience is, whatever the anticipated problems are. If there are disciplinary issues, then you might go somewhere. You might lose your temper. And that's where in the lesson planning that we do, we put time factor for the anticipated problems. The teachers will tackle in such a way whatever the problems are. And that's where planning helps you, because that's where you know where to focus, how to feel confident, because you have, so you can anticipate problems 2, 3, 10 based on your own personal experiences with the students. And if you spend more time with the learners, you know what your audiences are and how are they going to react. If you don't know your audience, then there is another layer of understanding that you need to develop, how to get into the audience mind, right?
Yes, sir.
It allows, the planning allows teachers to think about what's next. So if I have not planned any part of the program, any part of the session, what am I going to talk after this slide, I may stretch, I may elongate my activities. I may ask for some time. I may go back to my textbook and search through the pages. And when I'm searching, I'm losing the contact with my audience. And once the contact has been lost with the audience, you know what happens in communication skills. You lose them. So if you don't know what's next, you lose your audience. And then the dynamics between a teacher and a student in the classroom changes. If you know what's next, you can continue without any hesitation, and you will appear confident of whatever you are doing, and learners will be able to get along with you, right? So planning helps us in that. So if you have planned, you know what activities you are going to do, each after each. Let's say first is the definition concept. Okay, based on the definition, I have given my students a crossword puzzle, or I have given a fill in the blank. Okay, this is a writing exercise. So I will ask them to write about the definition in their own words. No, it is about speaking activity. So I will ask a couple of students, what do we mean by noun? Or can they give some more examples? Can they write at least 3 examples of a noun? Can they identify from the given paragraph nouns? I know what activities are going to come after the definition. So in order to reinforce my learning, I explain first the concept of a noun, define it, and then ask my students to look at the text, whatever text I have given, whatever reading material I have given, whatever activity I have designed. I will ask them to look at the paragraph and identify the noun. So when you know what activities you are doing with your students are also eager to participate in. Now, so one of the activities that I often do with my students is to join the paragraph. If you were physically present, then in the research project, I might have done that. I would cut out the entire essay. I would cut out the entire, what it is called, abstract, and I would ask you to join them. So you know how the paragraph is structured. And after that, I might ask you to write the abstract. I will first explain what is, then I'll demonstrate, and then you will show me what you have learned. So as a teacher, I know what my activities are lined up, right? And that lining up of activities is only possible if you have planned your 45 or 60 minutes of the lesson. And then you can balance the skills that you want to focus in the classroom. Remember, any skill cannot be taught in isolation. If you are teaching reading, you may teach either writing or speaking, or even listening. If you are teaching speaking, then you can include writing as well, reading as well. So if you focus on one particular skill, students might not be able to do it because the learning styles that we learned a couple of sessions before does not allow them to concentrate on just one skill. So when you plan a lesson, teachers can balance the skills across the across 45 minutes. Okay, in the first couple of minutes, I'm going to speak and students are going to listen. Then I will ask, they will speak and I will listen. Then I will give them reading material and they will find out and speak impromptu, whatever their answers are. And later on, I'll ask them to write 45 minutes, all the skills you cover in the session. So course design means to plan, and plan means all these. It allows teachers to work on multiple aspects. It includes grammar and vocabulary activities as well. Suppose you feel that the basic structure of active and passive voice is not clear, then you can start with that. Suppose a student may not know what the agent is, then you have to teach what agent is in the context of active and passive voice. So planning allows you to look at various aspects with a very narrow glass. You try to magnify the problem from the student's perspective and make them learn from the basic. And then you take them to a complex level. And that's what we intend to do in the language classroom. By taking them to the complex level, they learn something that you have designed, that the objective in your mind. It may take 1 session, 2 sessions, it may take more than 4 sessions, but that does not stop teachers to have a meticulous planning. And therefore, I said that teacher's lesson starts when he decides to take the course, when he decides to teach the course, right? Okay, we'll look at we'll look at what to plan, when to plan, and how to plan. It will take a couple of sessions on that. If you have any questions before we go further, you can raise it right now, and otherwise we go to understand what are the objectives. Okay, now look at this sentences and tell me whether they are objectives or they are goals. Oh, sorry, I stopped screen sharing. Okay. Tell me whether these are objectives or goals.
Objectives.
Okay, and why do you say so?
Because they are not long term, and it is like it perfectly is appropriate to the definition of objective.
Okay, let's look at the definition of objectives. Where it is, where it is, where it is. Okay, okay, okay. Yes. The goal is referring to the overall long-term purposes of the course, and the objective is specific ways in which goals will be achieved, right? Now look at this. Are these objectives or are these goals? Take your time. We have ample of time today, because this is most important. Okay. Let me give you a hint. You might have written business reports in your CC, or you might be learning it right now with Professor Dalwadi, right?
Yes.
Okay. So in order to write business reports, what does a writer need to learn? Can you give me a step-by-step idea? So first you need to understand what kind of business reports you are writing. Second, you need to understand who is your audience. You need to understand whether you are writing a sales report or a marketing report, right? Am I on the right path, or I don't know about business reports, so you can tell me more. But when you say business report, are you not talking of a larger picture?
So
Yes.
first one is
Yes.
first one is, I think it's goal. Second one is objective, and third one is also.
Okay, go on. Yeah, first one is definitely a goal, because it talks about larger picture of business reports, because there are multiple elements that we need to understand, and in order to write effective business reports, we need to understand them first. So we need to learn them first, and after learning them, that is the specific ways of writing business reports, once we learn all the steps, we will be able to write an effective business report. That means the goal can be reached with multiple elements that contains the writing of the business report. To build up students' confidence and provide them with language resources to participate in business meetings. Again, is it an objective or a goal?
build up students' confidence is objective, and the
Okay.
rest of the thing goal.
Okay, Shruti, good. The first part is an objective and the second part is goal. You cannot write goals and objectives together. So, students' confidence, how do you build students' confidence? There are one step or there are multiple steps? Do I have a wand like Harry Potter that I will do some circling and I'll say abracadabra and you will have confidence? Or I need to work on building students' confidence?
It has multiple steps.
Yes. So whenever you are looking at goals, you need to understand that it must have multiple steps. And if it is a single, unitary, focused, narrow, let's say myopic step, you are not supposed to go anywhere else. Just focus on this. That means it's an objective. Now, look at the second part. Shruti says it's an objective. Provide them with language resources to participate in business meetings. Now, what are the language resources? Multiple. It's not just one. You can have many. It starts from greetings and how you end the meeting and how you make presentation, how you answer the questions. So at least 4 elements I have identified, and you need 4 different language resources for these categories. 1, greeting; 2nd, ending the meeting; 4th, question and answers; and then presentation, right? So this is again a goal. It's not an objective. If I say to build students' confidence by giving them practice on how to answer the questions, then it becomes an objective, right? Okay, the last one is very easy: to use the language flexibly and effectively for social and professional purposes. So this is again a goal, right? Sorry. Okay, so today we have seen what are goals and what are objectives and what is the importance